So welcome back to day 2 of Female Hockey Day, fueled by Gatorade and presented by our friends at ATB Financial. Like I said, hopefully everyone enjoyed the morning sessions yesterday, and to those parents that stuck around, hopefully you took something away from the afternoon sessions as well. I know Barry has a wealth of knowledge to share, and same with Trina and Sam, so hopefully you tuned into those. If not, we will be sharing those out later, likely around Tuesday, Wednesday, an email with all the presentations and links to the video, so you can take a look at those as well. So again, big thank you to Gatorade and ATB Financial. Without partners like these, we wouldn't be able to make events like this happen for such a low cost. So really important, and so just a huge shout out to them. You guys did a phenomenal job engaging with us yesterday on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So keep it up today. Use the hashtags, tag us, and we'll continue to share those awesome posts. So keep that up. Again, just a few reminders. So each session today, just like yesterday, has the unique Zoom link that was sent out in the email that went out on Friday. So you'll have to bounce between the sessions with those Zoom links. Submit questions using the Q&A function or in the chat. Keep it polite and friendly and light, and keep engaged and have fun with that. So today's schedule, we've got Perri Ford coming up first with mental skills and goal setting, followed by the National Women's Team panel. We've got Carla, Marlene, Sarah, and Danielle in that panel. Got a quick break after that, followed by the mobility and yoga session. And then, if you haven't done so yet, definitely take the time to download Kahoot. It is a blast, and we've got a great trivia for you coming up and some pretty fantastic prizes. So, all right, moving right along. So Perri Ford is a mental performance consultant and professional member of the Canadian Sports Psychology Association. She supports teams and individuals as they navigate their journey through sport. Her passion for connecting with athletes is rooted in her personal experience competing, coaching, and training at an elite level. With performance enhancement as the driving force for her work, she is able to guide athletes in building skills that are useful in both sport and in life. In 2018, she was awarded the Young Professional Award by the CSPA for her work in mental performance consulting in Canada. Perri has had the privilege to work with athletes at a number of different levels and is honored to be accompanying Team Alberta to the Canada Summer Games in 2022. So I will end my slideshow here, and I will turn it over to you, Perri.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so I will go ahead and start sharing my screen. I am so excited to be here with all of you today. Let's see if we can get it going. There we go. And we're going to start just by covering what to expect, what we're going to be talking about, and give you an idea of what you're in for the next hour. Mental skills can cover a lot on goal setting, but we are going to talk briefly about your mental skills day to day. Some of you might have already worked on mental skills with your teams or clubs or in other sports, and some of you this might be a totally brand new thing. So we're going to try and talk about it in a way that everybody can share in the knowledge and take away something today. Here's what to expect. So first, we're going to start by creating our community. And this is really important because we're on Zoom. We're not able to be in a room together today, but we are able to connect. We are able to have community. We are able to feel the emotions of one another and feel the contributions of one another. And I want to make sure that we're taking some time to do that. We're going to talk about why we need mental skills. So why do they make sense in our play? Why do we want to take all this time to work on them in addition to our physical skills and physical fitness and strategy and technical knowledge? Then we're going to jump into the basics of goal setting. So we're going to find out more about what we can do, how we can set goals, how we can make them mean something to us, and get past maybe some of the boredom that tends to attach to goal setting. I know when I bring it up in a group, eyes tend to glaze over. I tend to lose athletes as soon as we start talking about goals because they've heard them so much. So I want to give you a fresh perspective on why they're important and how you can use them. And then we're going to finish up with an activity called micro goals. So doing some small goal setting together and hopefully having that little bit of participation. It sounds like yesterday you were all very engaged in what you were doing, and that makes me excited. So I'm going to ask you to engage in certain ways as well. I'm going to do my best to keep an eye on the chat, to keep an eye on the Q&A, and to make sure that I'm respecting your time. But if I miss something, I will try and catch it at the end, and we're all in this one together, so we're going to figure it out. All right. Our community. Okay, so here's what I'm asking you to do. If possible, have your camera on. I want you to be able to see each other. Okay, if that function is not enabled in this, that is okay. I still want you to be participating as if your camera is on. Okay, the more we give, the more connected we feel. So even if you're not able to see everybody in the chat, even if you're not able to show your facial expressions to all of us here today, I really want you to be as present as you can. So participate as if you're sitting in the room with us today. In addition to that, we're going to be looking at what I call support signs, okay? So support signs are some of the things that we can do to offer support to one another. So I see from some of you that you're not allowed to turn cameras on, and that's okay. Like I said, I want you to act as if you're participating, as if you're on. And part of that is going to be, and it's going to feel a little bit silly to do it, but we're going to do it anyways, is going to be to give one another applause and hearts. Okay, so remembering it's okay if you cannot see each other. We are all going to know when we're doing this, and that's going to help us to feel connected. So even if you're feeling a little bit silly, make sure, just like Taryn has said, make sure you act as though you do and make sure you participate. Okay, and part of mental skills is feeling uncomfortable and sometimes feeling a little bit silly and finding ways to work through that. So we are going to start this team session, and I consider us all a team. And there's 140 of us here today. That's a really big and wonderful team. That's a lot of energy to work with. But we are all together in this. Coaches, parents, administrators, athletes, we are all together in this session. We are one team. We are bringing our power together to push each other forward. If you see competitors in this session, I want you to take a moment and just give them your thanks for pushing you, for making games fun, for helping things to become competitive. If you see friends in the sessions or the chat, take a moment to give them your thanks for being a part of your community. If you see new people or people you don't know, wow, give them your thanks for being a part of this great, big, amazing sport that you get to play and that you get to participate in. Okay, so we are going to start all together by dropping into the session. This is a really important mental skill. We're actually just diving in to something that we can all do together. And a session drop-in is all of us making sure that our focus is here now. So I understand it's Sunday morning. Maybe you were doing your workout before you came here. Maybe you rolled out of bed to get here. Maybe you had errands or other things that you were doing before this started. All of us had somewhere that our brains were before we got here. And just like when we show up at a game or at a practice or at a training session, we want to make sure that our brain and our body are in the same place. So we're going to practice bringing our brains to the place where our body is, which is this session. And to do that, we're going to do a little bit of a breathing exercise. So this one's a bonus because our cameras aren't on. We don't necessarily have to worry about seeing each other while we do this exercise. But I want to make sure that you are following along. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to ask you to sit with your back straight and your body relaxed. Okay, if you're lying in bed, just sit up. If you're in a place where you can sit down, do. If not, that's okay. Do your best and follow along. Okay, and then if you're comfortable, the next thing I'm going to ask you to do is close your eyes. You don't have to do it quite yet, but I'll tell you when. Your only job in this exercise is to follow along with the sound of my voice. All you have to do is listen. If you notice yourself getting sidetracked or distracted or starting to think of some other things, that's totally okay. Just gently notice that you've become distracted and bring yourself back. You don't have to feel guilty about it. You don't have to think about why you're distracted. Just notice, hey, I've drifted a little bit, and come back to the sound of my voice. Okay, we're going to try and bring ourselves to a place where hockey is our focus, and we're really thinking about the joy that we get from the game. So now I'm going to ask you, if you are comfortable, to close your eyes. Notice what it feels like in this moment to breathe in and out right now. Place one hand on your belly, and keeping your eyes closed, just notice the movement of your hand as you breathe in and out. Keeping your eyes closed, try to visualize the rise and fall of your hand as you breathe, and focus all of your attention to that place. For the next few breaths, just want you to focus on the movement of your hand on your belly as you breathe. Next, place your other hand on your chest. And for the next few breaths, focus on the movement of your chest as you breathe. Maybe you feel your heart beating underneath your hand. Maybe once again, it's the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. For the next few breaths, focus on that hand on your chest and really feel your breathing. Now, leaving both of your hands there, I want you to bring your focus to what it feels like to be on the ice. Think of a moment in hockey in your past where you felt truly happy, where you loved the moment you were in. Think about the sounds that you heard in that moment. Was it the puck hitting your stick? Was it the sound of skates on the ice? Was it yelling from the bench or the crowd? Maybe it was simply a practice where you had so much fun and learned something new. Listen for those sounds now. Keeping your eyes closed, think of the things that you saw. Teammates, opposition, coaches, advertisements on the boards, the space you were in on the ice. Next, I want you to think about the way it smells when you are in the rink. The smell of the ice, maybe of the equipment. Maybe the rink you play in has a popcorn machine and you always smell it when you walk right in. For a moment, just think about the way it smells to be there. Lastly, I want you to think about the way it feels. All of the emotions, all of the joy, maybe a little bit of nerves, some activation. Think about the way you feel. Now I want you to bring your focus back to your breathing. Once again, just notice what it feels like to breathe in and out. When you are ready, you can open your eyes, come on back and join the conversation again. Welcome back. I really hope that you felt like you were there. I know right now we might need that. We might need to remember what it's like to be on the ice. But the important thing is that we all connected to our sport. We connected to one another. And I would like to give you a round of applause for that. Our next topic, talking a little bit about mental skills in general. Mental skills are the way to help you play the way you want to when you want to do it. Put all this work in physically, you put all this work in at practice with your teammates, maybe in individual training sessions, whatever you're doing, whatever level you're at, you put this work in. And the goal of mental skills is to be able to help you put that work into action when you really want it to happen. It also gives you a chance to practice when you can't physically do it. So when you can't get on the ice, or you can't see your teammates, it helps you to still work on your skills, to still manage to get better or to work towards something when you can't necessarily be there. It helps you prepare for big moments. So if you've ever felt nervous in a game, or maybe a little bit jittery about something that's going on, or you're really focusing on wanting to play well, mental skills can help you to come into those big moments and do what you want to do. And be prepared for some of the feelings and the experiences that you're going to have in those big moments. Like we just talked about, it helps you to coordinate your brain and your body. Okay, so it helps you do what you're thinking about and vice versa. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in thinking about other things, like thinking about something that happened 10 minutes ago that we didn't like, maybe a mistake we made, or we get wrapped up thinking about what's going to happen in the future. But mental skills help you come back to the moment, help you coordinate your brain and your body together. And lastly, and I think most importantly, to get to know yourself. And the more self-awareness we have, the more you know about what you need to play your best, the more you can give that to yourself and make sure that it's happening when you want it to. And really, playing this sport is about having fun and finding joy in it and really loving it. And if we know ourselves, we know how we can find joy in our sport, which is pretty cool. Let's talk about goals and why we play. Okay, so I want to talk about goals with soul. Goals with soul are all about being connected to why we play, in addition to what we are doing to get to them. Okay, so if you absolutely love the way it feels when you make a great play, when you learn something new, when you do something to help a teammate, that can all connect to your goal. It's not just a really simple structure without any feeling or emotion. Goals have to be fueled by connection. They have to be fueled by emotion, fueled by the things you love. So here's a few things that I want you to think about right now. And if you want to, you can actually, in the chat, start entering in the reasons why you play or some of the answers to these questions. What's fun about it? So often I ask a group, okay, why do you play? And I'm happy to hear when they say, because it's fun. What's the most fun? What's really awesome when it happens in a hockey game or a practice or a training session? Even when you're watching it on TV, what do you love about it? What's really, really fun? I'm going to take a moment and just look at the chat. I really want to see what you're coming up with. Playing with friends, being cheered on, feeling happy. Yes, for the goalies out there, when you make a great save, when you score a goal, winning a game. Absolutely. Teammates, stopping a one-on-one, making my family smile, getting the puck, activity and energy. Like, these are amazing. So thinking about all of those moments and how we're striving to get to those moments, I already feel fired up about your goals. Whoa. Well, you're gonna have to answer all of these now. When do you feel like you're playing your best? Okay, this is the next question I want you to think about. Now, once again, you can answer it in the chat. I want you all to be able to see what each other are saying, and I want to be able to see what you're saying. When do you feel like you are playing your best? Is it when you're having fun? Is it when you're confident? Is it when you're well fueled? Is it when you had a good sleep? Is it when you're on a line with a teammate? Is if you're in net? Is it when you feel calm and confident and ready to take on whatever's coming your way? Think about the things that make you feel like you're able to play your best. Put those into the chat, and I'm going to take a quick look. Confident, excited, listening to music, yes, having a good breakfast, cake. That might be one of my favorite answers. I'm vibing, angry and confident. So when you bring in maybe that intensity of emotion, that's pretty cool. Getting sleep and playing with my line, music. Man, you all have so many incredible ways to show up and play your best. Really fired up and angry. So we talk about the use of emotion. And for those of you that are saying, I play best when I'm angry, when I'm fired up, that's great self-awareness, because you know that when you get into a game, You want to feel like you have a little bit higher of an energy level. Okay, and maybe you don't. Maybe you're one of those players that likes to show up cool and collected and calm and just go out there and be relaxed and focused and clear space for your brain to play its best. And you know what? Both of those are great. There is no one way to play your best. That's why we have to figure out what we need individually. What makes your heart smile on the ice? So yeah, what's fun about it? When do you feel like you're playing your best? But what are those moments where you just feel joy and happiness radiating from you? Again, these can be practice, they can be play, they can be training sessions. I want you to put into the chat, what makes your heart smile when you're on the ice? What makes it really great? Teammates are happy. Oh, when I have a good goal and I can look at my dad and see and celebrate with him, that's really cool. When my team scores, when I know my family is smiling at me, scoring the first goal. When everyone thinks the puck went in and you drop it out of your glove. I love that one. Hat tricks. When mom jumps up and freaks out. Oh, I love all of these. Okay, so some of these are about us and some of these are about the people around us. And I think it's really important to define that we can find joy in both of those things. We can find joy in the happiness of others and we can find joy in the happiness of ourselves. And it's also important to remember that our control lies within us. Our control lies within our ability to do what we need to do. So all these fantastic answers. And then the last one, what is your favorite hockey memory? What really gets you going when you think about it? What's something that when you remember that moment, you're like, that's why I play the game. That's my why. So I want you to think about your favorite hockey memory, pop it in the chat, and then we'll keep on going. When my goalie makes a save. All of them love it. SO Minor Hockey Week. Very cool. So most of these memories are pretty fueled, right? We get to see the memory or the glory moment, but there's a lot of work that takes place behind that. And that's a really important point. So in that photo, and I'm not going to go back in my slides, but in that photo that I had posted of Team Alberta, that was a glory moment. That was probably a favorite hockey memory for a lot of those players. I know it was one of my favorite sport memories, being able to watch those girls receive their medals. But here's the thing, behind that picture is so much work, so much overcoming obstacles, finding ways through challenges, working on skills, maybe getting turned down for something and having to come back and keep going at it. There's so much behind those memories, and that's what goals are about. So they're about the why, they're about the big glory moments, but most importantly, they're about what we're doing every single day to get to those moments. To really feel connected to our sport, we got to think about what we're doing each and every day. Some days that's work. Some days it's really great rest and taking care of your brain and your body in different ways. Okay. Oh, last but not least, what inspires you? Pop that one in the chat. What makes you feel inspired? What makes you really feel ready to get out there and do that work and meet those challenges? Oh, these are so amazing. Hockey, my friends, my dad, my future, pizza, teammates, family, my brother cheering for me, famous women, my brother's smile, water. Oh, I love it. So there's so many things that inspire us, and that's what's going to drive us through some of those challenges and drive us to continue with the goals that might not seem like the most glorious or enjoyable things, but help us get to that destination that we're going to. Okay. When you dream big, where do you see yourself? Okay, when you really think about that dream goal. So we're going to talk today a lot about little stuff, little goals, things that we can do right now. But when you dream big, put it in the chat, put it out there, put it into the world. We are a team. We can trust each other. Put your goals and your big dreams out there. We can all see what we're striving for together, this team that we're on. Wow. So many amazing goals here. So many amazing things to work for. And for all of you working towards this in all of these different things, like goals, playing in the NWHL, playing on the Canadian hockey team. I saw one that I love so much, having fun on the ice, just being able to have a good time. That's a brilliant dream big goal. Finding joy every day, getting to the next level, sport physiotherapist. Oh, there's so many cool things here. Okay, so we know that all the work that we're doing, all the things that we're putting in, all the challenges we come across, all the moments that feel like failures, they're all building up. They're all creating this path for us to follow. And that's how we're going to look at it. Okay, so we're going to create a Google map for ourselves. Maybe not all together because that would probably crash our computers. But I want you to think about goals like a Google map. Okay, so we are creating a map of getting where we want to go. This example here is pretty simple. We're going from Red Deer to Calgary or Calgary to Red Deer, two very important facilities in our sport in this province. And I want you to see a few different things here. So first, we got to know where we're going. Okay, so in our Google map of our goals, we got to think about where are we headed. Okay, so those might be those dream big goals, but they might be something just for this season. So think about in your Google map, what's the destination? Where's the final point you want to get to this season? You can go ahead and pop it in the chat if you want to. It's really helpful for all of us to participate in that way. What do you want to do this season? Okay, and if your answer is simply to win games, I want you to think more about that. I want you to think about what it might take to win games. I want you to think about what you have control over that helps you to win those games. If it's making a team, maybe it's having a really great, enjoyable season and making sure you're taking care of all the things going on in your brain to have that enjoyment. Think about where you're going. Next, you gotta know where we're starting from. Imagine I pull out my phone and I don't have my location enabled and I'm trying to get to the Gary Harris Center in Red Deer. Okay, and I'm starting somewhere, but I have no idea where from. It's gonna be pretty hard for my phone to be able to tell me directions to get there efficiently. I might get there eventually, but if I don't know where I'm starting from, it's hard for me to map out the steps that I need to take to get where I'm going. So I want you to think, where am I now compared to the goal where I want to get to? And you can put this in the chat if you like. Where am I starting from? Okay, so if I want to, say I'm a goalie and I want to have a certain save percentage, or I want to perfect something that I haven't quite learned yet. Where am I now? You know, what was my save percentage last season? How was I doing in my skills? Okay, if I want to make a certain team and I'm thinking about all the things that I need to do to get there, where am I starting from right now? The more awareness we have of what we need to work on, the easier it is for us to map out the path that we're going to take to get there. What steps is it going to take to get there? This is our how. Okay, so goal setting is a lot of the why and the what. What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? Why do I want to get there? But the meat and potatoes, the real work is, how am I going to do it? We got to ask ourselves those questions. What is it going to take to get there? And those are our step-by-step directions. So when Google Maps says, you know, turn right here, drive for this long, those are the specific hows. So if we're trying to make a team, or we're trying to get a certain number of goals in a season, or we're trying to work on one of our stats on the ice, or maybe we're just working on learning our new position. Whatever that might be, I want you to think very specifically about what that takes. How will you get there? Okay, and those are the action steps. For many of you, you're doing a how right now. You're coming to a mental skills session. You are participating in this weekend. You are learning more about the sport. You're going to hear from panelists who have been there, been to that Team Canada experience. You're going to hear from people who can tell you how to fuel your body. Maybe you heard from them yesterday. You're going to hear from me about setting those goals. So I want you to start thinking, if I know my starting point, now I know my destination, what do I think my steps are to get there? What am I going to have to actually do? And is that, making sure I'm doing those workouts in the morning, making sure I'm hydrated, making sure I show up at practice when I can, and I'm bringing my brain to it. Maybe it's taking time to sit down and goal set while you're waiting to get back on the ice and do your thing. I'm going to check in on the chat because I see lots of things and I'm really curious to see what you girls are up to. Lots of practice, commitment to getting better. Yes. Practice and workouts. Yes. Working my hardest to improve and do everything I want. Ah, I see. Do what I want, not just say what I want. Awesome. So in all of these things, and I love when I see work hard. And I have a follow-up for all of you that are thinking, I got to work hard and be committed. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. But I want you to think about what hard work looks like. So when you're at practice, what are you doing when you're working hard? Are you paying attention every time someone's explaining a new drill to you? Are you showing up ready to go on time? Are you hustling your hardest in every single round that you get to go? Maybe it's in strength training. Maybe you're a person who doesn't like running, and part of your conditioning is running. So maybe your how is, and your hard work is finding a way to give my best even in the things that I don't like. Pushing myself, setting little goals in practice. Those are all things that feed into that hard work piece. When would I like to arrive? Okay, so this one's interesting right now. Goals should have a timeline. We should know kind of what we're working towards and when we want to get there. But right now, we don't have all the information we need to know when. So think of a time frame, but remember that goals can be flexible. Okay, prepare to change your route. So right now, let's say I'm driving from Winsport to Gary Harris and provinces showed up and said, sorry, too icy, can't drive on this road. We just can't let you, it's not safe. Well, that's pretty much exactly what's happening right now. Province is saying, okay, not safe for us to practice together. Okay, we're gonna have to wait. Are you allowed to be frustrated? Heck yes. Are you allowed to feel emotions about it? Yeah. Are you allowed to miss it? 100%. But while you're sitting there waiting for that road to reopen, you can also think about small steps that you're taking right now to get closer. Okay, so how can we make sure that when we get to start driving to that destination again, we're ready to do it? And those are all the little pieces that you can work on right now. Lastly, consider what you have control over and what you do not. This year has been a lesson in what we have control over and what we do not. We have control over what we're working on. We have control over what we do in these moments. We have control over giving ourselves space to feel a bit disappointed, and that's okay. And then thinking about how we can work on getting better right now. Okay, so goals are really important in this time that we're in. And when we're setting those goals, we want to think about what we control. And sometimes if you're feeling really overwhelmed, you can just sit back and think, okay, what do I have control over right now? I have control over what I'm going to do with my time in the next 10 minutes, maybe. I have control over how I'm going to respond to the people around me. I have control over how hard I'm going to work on my at-home stuff or maybe my outdoor rink. I have control over talking to my family about how I'm feeling, talking to them about my goals and bringing them in on it. Okay, so really thinking about, as you're doing this, what do you have control over? Because we don't always have control over the road blockages or the changes of route that we have to take. And sometimes we've got to find ways to adjust to that. Okay, so we are going to do a little takeaway activity for the next 10 minutes together. We are going to talk about something called micro goals. Okay, and the reason that we talk about micro goals, which are just really teeny tiny small goals, is because right now, some days all we can do is look ahead for the end of that day. Maybe we can only look ahead for the next 5 minutes. We don't know exactly how long it's going to take us to get where we're going. And we want to feel in control. We want to feel like we're working towards something. We want to feel like we're really putting in the effort and aligning with all those wonderful statements you made about what feels great when you're playing. And so in order to do that, we have to take our focus away from these big dream goals or even end of season goals. They're still there. We still know we're working towards them. And we got to think about what is the teeny tiny stuff that we can do each and every day. So I want you to answer these questions for me now. Okay, the first question, and we're going to do this, I want you to think about this season. Okay, so really specifically this season. Enter into the chat now. What is your destination? Tell us where you're heading. What's the goal for this season? Pop that into the chat and I'm going to read along with them. Where are you heading this season? Confident before games, education. Make the AAA team, improve my skill level. Get back on the ice, be back in hockey, go outside more. Expand my skill level. AA, oh, I love all of these. So for those of you that are saying, okay, my goal is I want to get back on the ice. I love that. But I want you to think about how much control you have over that right now. Okay? Not necessarily 100% control. So for those of you that are saying, I want to get back on the ice, I want to play my game. I love that goal. But I want to ask you a follow-up question. So if you answered get back on the ice, I want you to answer this question now. When you get back on the ice, how do you want to be playing? Okay, and put that into the chat. When you get back on the ice, how do you want to be playing? Hard, improving my skills, making Bantam AA, awesome, my best, my hardest, play hard, better than before. I love these. So now I want you to think, in order to be better than before, what are some of those skills you might need to work on? Okay, so if you're going to play your best ever, if you're going to work hard to do everything you possibly can, think about how. What's going to be different? What do you have to work on? I love seeing these pieces about confidence, and we might even use some of those in our example together, because the point of this activity is for you to work through this and actually use some goal setting instead of just hearing me talk about it. Edges, work on my shot, work out more, prepare myself mentally. These are all such brilliant, brilliant goals, and thank you for thinking so hard about them. Okay, so we know our destinations, or we have an idea of our destination. So next I want to talk about something called how steps. How steps are those little action items. Okay, so that's that same thing. When I said to you, how are you going to get there? And you said, well, I'm going to work really hard. Well, what does hard work look like in practice? What does hard work look like in games? Maybe hard work is if something happens that I really don't like, I find a way. I reset myself. For those of you that said, okay, I want to be confident, I have a how step for confidence that I want to give you, an action that could really help out. A how step for confidence for any athlete, or really any person in general, is to build yourself a strength inventory. And what I mean by that is sit down and write down a list of all the things you feel like you're good at, all the things you feel like you bring to a team. Okay, and those can be things about your personality. Maybe you're quiet and introspective. Maybe you're really good at listening and paying attention to details. Maybe you lead by example. If you are really extroverted and loud and like to be in front of people, which is me, that's my personality type, maybe your strength includes leading through words, bringing lots of energy, finding ways to involve your team. Okay, so if confidence is one of your goals or your destination, some how steps could include really starting to think about what your strengths are and what you bring. You could also think about what you've done in the past that's felt really great, that makes you feel confident. For the heck of it, let's put it into the chat right now. I want you to name one thing you've done in hockey or in life. Maybe it was in school. Maybe you totally rocked a test. Maybe you adapted to going online and then in person and then online and then in person. But I want you to think about a time where you've done something that when you think about it, you feel pretty confident. You feel pretty proud of yourself? Pop that into the chat. Getting better. Seeing my coach smile at me and maybe cry a little. Stopping a bully, getting a class award, my first ever goal, doing my homework and getting it right. 6 goals in a game. 100 on a test, MVP. When my shot is amazing, winning league champ. 16 out of 16 on spelling, I love it. Getting better at stopping 1-on-3s, MVPs, first goal of the year, 10 goals in a game, getting trophies. So these are all like incredible moments. And me reading this, I'm feeling your confidence coming through. Okay, so sometimes if we're using this example of building confidence as our destination and where we want to get to by the end of the season, maybe our house steps are more just about, thinking of the things that make us feel confident right before we step on the ice. Taking note of the ways that we feel confident when we're at practice. Making sure we remember moments that give us confidence. And right now, maybe we're not on the ice getting those confident moments. Maybe they look a little bit different. But you have memories. You have a wealth of experience to go back on. And it doesn't just have to be hockey. You're a whole person. You bring yourself to everything you do. So the things that helped you knock that test out of the park or get a good grade or figure out your homework, those are skills that you can bring to hockey because you worked hard to do it. You had to problem solve. You had to get past challenges. Maybe it was really frustrating trying to learn all those words for your spelling test, but you managed it. That means that you've got it in you to be confident or to show up and do what you need to do at the practice. So that's an example of house steps. If it's a more technical thing, like a skill that you want to get better at, something you want to be able to do on the ice, walk it back. Think about the steps that you need. Is it speed? Is it agility? Is it puck handling? Is it understanding the game and understanding your position? Think about the how steps that you can put into action that are going to be the steps that get you to that destination. And now we're going to take it down to that super micro level. What are the small things you can start doing one day at a time to help you with your house steps? These are my favorite. Okay, these are the best things that we can focus on each and every day, especially right now, given the situation that we're in. So if you are thinking, okay, I want to work on confidence, and I know that some of the house steps are doing the strength inventory or writing down things that I feel confident about. Maybe your small daily micro goal is at the end of each day to think about 3 things you did that are going to help you to get better. Okay, just writing them down in a little notebook. Maybe if fitness and speed and showing up and being better than you were before, and you're like, okay, well then I got to work on my fitness, and I want to be able to get a certain score on the beep test, or I want to be able to have a certain speed on the ice. Okay, maybe that how step is 30 minutes every day, making sure you're doing your strength training from your team, or asking a coach for help. Okay, that's a how step. If you don't know where to start, email your coach. Hey, I want to work on this. Do you have any ideas? That can be a how step. Okay, so I want you to think about these micro goals, and for our last piece together, I should say second last, in the chat, I would really love for you to enter in what you're going to do today. What's your micro goal for today? What do you want to make sure you're doing that's going to be a part of this big plan of yours? Go on the rink, love it. Focus, treadmill for 15 minutes, work out. Yes, Google Meet workout with team, yoga, my fave. Skating on the ice, outdoor rink, go for a run. Oh my gosh, get 10,000 steps. Team workout, work out with my sister. Help around the house. Yes, we have to take care of all of these things. Go outside. Hallelujah, very important. Skate on the outdoor rink. Clean my room. Yes, an organized space helps us to be more productive, helps us to get where we need to go. Skiing, cross training, brilliant. Okay, so all of these things are working towards our goals. And I love seeing things like clean my room or help around the house, because that just shows that everything we're doing that feels positive can somehow be a how on where we're working towards. And yeah, we want to be hockey specific for a lot of our goals, but you're whole people. You're doing it all. All right. So I think that we're ready for questions. I've seen so many just win Kahoot. I like that one. I've seen so many brilliant things. So let's jump into questions and see what we have.
There was a couple that popped up in the Q&A. One was, do you have any mental skills for bullying in hockey?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Okay. So I think there's a few things here. One, and this is a really important mental skill and just skill in general, is make sure that you're bringing in support. So when you're experiencing bullying on a team, it's not up to you to change everything. Okay, that's not an extra stress to add on to what you're experiencing. But one of the things that you do have control over is seeking support. So maybe reaching out to a parent, to a coach, to someone you trust. Maybe it's an assistant coach or someone that you feel like you have a strong connection with, and making sure that you are bringing some people in that can help you take this on so that it's not just on you. Okay. The other thing, and this is for coaches or administrators that are on the call, maybe more than players, is thinking about the team culture and the team norms and expectations. So if you are a player and your coach has said, okay, here's what we expect from the team, it's really important that you contribute to that team culture and those team expectations by following along with them. And I think we can all agree that there's been times in our lives where maybe we haven't been the kindest to the people around us, or maybe we've said or done something that looking back on it, we're thinking, oh man, I wish I didn't do that. So for each of us, the most important mental skill is to think about how we're bringing ourselves in. And if you're somebody who's experiencing bullying, it's not on you to solve that. It is on your organization, your teammates, everybody involved in the big picture. And it's really, really brave to bring it up and let somebody know that you're going through that. And maybe some of the things that you can practice are like that breathing exercise that we did. If you're feeling like a really big emotion about it and it's going to make you nervous to have to go in and take on that conversation, maybe it's centering yourself and doing some breathing and calming down your nerves. If it's not changing and you've brought in support and you're not feeling like you really control what's happening, controlling your response. Okay, so activating some of those things and bringing your focus to what brings you joy, why you play, why you are there, what you can focus on in a practice to help you get there. I hope that helps.
I think so. And I think there was a question here about nerves before a game. And I think that you sharing about centering and focusing and really the exercise that you started off the top is a great one for that. We did have another question here about, and I think this is probably hits home to a lot of us, not just relative to hockey, but I think just going through everything that we are with COVID, is how do you get motivated and take steps every day when, you know, there may not be a hockey season or hockey is continued to be on pause? So how do you keep that motivation and keep going towards your goals?
Yeah, this such a good question. And I work with, I saw a question on here. Yes, I do work with other hockey players, but I work with a lot of athletes at all different levels. So I want to tell you that even my athletes that I work with that are training for World Cups or Olympic competitions are struggling with motivation right now. And the athletes that I work with all the way from, you know, junior high to university levels are struggling with motivation right now. So if you're feeling that, you're not alone. But what I would say is this goal setting piece is directly linked to motivation. So if you're not necessarily feeling like the inspiration and the drive to get up and do everything you need to do, break it down into small pieces. Think about your routines. Willpower is like fast twitch muscle. It's not meant to last us for 10 or 11 months at a time. Willpower is something that we can, yeah, fall back on it when we really need that boost every once in a while. But to expect yourself to have that motivation and willpower and push for a year is impossible. And so instead, and I'm not saying willpower is impossible, but maybe just to have it every single moment of every single day. So instead, think about the routines that you are in right now and the routines that you have been in when you felt really motivated, when you felt like you were really like performing to your top level and doing everything you possibly could. And look at those two different routines and see where they're different. And then choose a couple things that are within your control that you can do now. Okay, so if it was, waking up a bit earlier to get stuff done and feel like you had your day under control, and now you're not really doing that because you don't have practice to go to after school, and you don't really have, like, maybe you're still doing online school and you're like, yeah, I'm rolling out of bed 2 minutes before class. Think about those routines and how they might shift, and try and depend on routines instead of on motivation and willpower at each and every moment. And when you want to have that little burst, visit a moment in your mind where you felt inspired and amazing. And that's really going to kickstart it. And I actually saw some of you saying this. A really quick hack to motivation is listen to a song that pumps you up. If you need to change your mood, boost it with music. There's science behind that, but more importantly, there's emotion behind that. So find a song you love and pump it. I mean, as long as your parents are okay with you, like, filling the house with that song, maybe put it on your headphones if they're not, but find some music for yourself.
I really like that. And I know that ties in, there were a lot of questions about school and getting mental breaks and, again, motivation piece into school right now, with a lot of back and forth between in-person and online learning. So some really great tips there. I really like this one. And we did a session yesterday about opportunities in hockey and just women working in the sport. And this is another great example of one. So why do you do what you do?
Oh, that's my favorite question. Because I get to do this. I know I'm biased, but I really honestly believe I have the best job in the world. I get to spend every single day, most of my days, sitting across from either virtually or in person from people who want to be better, who want to improve themselves. And sometimes those people are really struggling, and I get to be the person who's in their corner, who's with them as they figure it out. And I get to help them. Like, if we go back to our Google Maps, it's like you're the driver and I get to hold the map and be like, okay, let's try this turn and see how it works. And if we hit a dead end, we're going to turn around and it's okay, we'll figure it out. And sometimes it's just, I get to be like the cheerleader and really be there for all those moments. And I get to meet so many different types of people, age groups, backgrounds, like all athletes come from different experiences. And the last thing I'll say is I get to find strengths with athletes. And I love that every athlete is unique. I know we all have role models and we all have pieces that we strive to be like, but your most powerful superpower is that you are you. And I get to kind of uncover that with athletes and figure out, okay, what's your superpower because of your experience, because of your challenges, because of who you are. And that's my why. Thanks for asking that question.
No, I love it. I love hearing that because we all have unique stories as to our whys and what got us where we are. So I love hearing that. So thank you, Perri, so much. I know right off the top, there was staff who were saying like, oh, we just feel so centered even just going through that activity with you. So it was nice to kick off the morning that way. So appreciate that. Again, thank you so much for everyone engaging with the chat and the Q&A. We really appreciate it. And I know Perri really liked that as well. We will be sharing the presentation again in the email that'll go out in the next couple days. So look for that if you missed out on something. And we will also share the video presentation as well. So you'll have both access to both of those. So next up, we do have the National Women's Team panel. It'll start in about 5 minutes. So you have time to fill up your Gatorade squeeze bottle, go for a quick bathroom break, maybe stretch. I know we said yesterday, run around the block. If you can do that in 5 minutes, pretty impressive. And thanks again for hopping on. And thank you again, Perri. It was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you all for all of your engagement and your amazing questions. I wish we had hours to go through them because I would love to answer each and every one.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys.